Hey, all. How you doing? I didn't say anything just before that. Um, yeah, so we are here, of course, in the Jimmy VC headquarters. VC is, but not many people realize this, but Jimmy VC is being interviewed in my kitchen, um, and that's where all the teams are coming. That's why I have such good scoops on this story. Um, my kitchen is deemed the best place possible.
Are you making them that steak in the bag again?
Yep, yeah, making the sous vide. Sous vide is awesome. I mean, just because you don't think any other sports besides the major sports are interesting, Russ, and just because that
No, I don't say that. It's
you
just
got ripped apart yesterday, a couple
I
days ago on
did.
Twitter for your comments. I really
I'm sorry. When we start considering ping pong a sport, call me back and I'll feel bad. That's all.
to
Or
a
team
couple
handball.
billion
Or team handball.
a couple billion people in the Middle East would disagree with you. I think.
Yeah, or maybe like the 10
Not the
people
Middle
that
East,
were in the
the Far
tournament for
East.
my
Far East.
or maybe the 10 people that were in the ping pong tournament for my bar mitzvah would feel differently.
You had a
My
ping
bar
pong
mitzvah.
tournament at your bar mitzvah?
We're all 10 of those
That's cool.
people in the stands in Rio because basically for almost every event there is nobody there. I don't think anybody can afford tickets in Rio.
I'm telling you, it was more contested in my house, in my basement in Long Island than it was for the Olympics. Trust me.
No, that's not true. Have you seen the Olympic ping pong
I
stuff?
have. I know. I'm just kidding.
I know you are. I know. So we got some good controversy to get into today.
Yeah.
On VC and various stuff that's happening. So we'll go right into it today. And let's start there since it is 1:13 anyway. Apologize for the late start today. Business stuff. Here we go. Ready? Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, August 17th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agella.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday at this time to fill you in on the comings and goings of the hockey world and try to make sense of all of this. And the Jimmy VC situation, we have this every year, and I was joking around with an agent this morning about this. It's really funny. I said, you know what should happen? If I'm the NHLPA, the next thing I do, okay, when I don't worry about the salary cap. When I'm going into the next negotiation for the CBA, I don't worry about the salary cap. I don't sit there and think, all right, we need to get guaranteed contracts, whatever. I just assign every player a week. Every free agent gets his own week. That's just his. Nobody else's. And that week is him and him alone. Because there's all this time in the summer that we don't do anything. So if you say, okay, the best players are available on this player gets this week, this player gets that week, and then the contracts would go through the roof, and everybody would, because really what's happening is that's what's happening right here, right now.
I get the feeling that there's a little tongue-in-cheek being played here. I
No,
don't know.
I'm serious. If you're the PA and you want to drive up salaries, give the players a week. Give each player their own week. They can only sign in that week, and then the teams will freak out and
No,
focus on that.
the only difference is teams will not jump through these kinds of hoops. The only reason teams are jumping through these kinds of hoops is based on the talent, but also based on the fact that it's a very tight cap world and
I know.
where they weren't expecting it to go up. And if you could get that extra player, you have a big edge on your competitor.
Well, I agree with that.
And this is the thing, and we've seen this over the last few years with teams that have won Stanley Cups. Thinking of the LA Kings with guys like Toffoli and Tanner Pearson when they were either on their entry-level deal or on a bridge deal where they weren't making a ton of money, or the Blackhawks or a few other teams. You get players who are on their entry-level deals.
Right.
And that is invaluable to a team who is trying to contend for a Stanley Cup because you have the room to be able to either pay for your franchise players or add players at the deadline, and you need those cheap players. And this is an opportunity for a team out there to get a player for bottom dollar and a potential good player, somebody who could score 15 to 20 goals. That's why everybody is interested in him. Not only the promise of him down the road, but the promise of him as a 23-year-old player right this second.
Okay. So let's go off that for a second. So I this morning I was talking to people because I'm trying to figure out where he was going to go, and I'll leave my thoughts on where he's going to go to the end. But we'll start with how good he is really, and really what he's about, and because I will be the first to admit that I am not a prospects guy. Like you, Russ, I deferred to you all the time on the show. Mike knows a little bit about prospects. I know nothing. Actually, Mike knows quite a bit about prospects, so always just rip him on that. Mike's quite a good prospects guy in his own right. I know nothing, okay? And I spend my time on phone conversations with scouts in Poughkeepsie or whatever, not watching great hockey like you guys get to watch when you get to watch the young players playing. So you guys see him. I have seen Jimmy Vesey play once in my life, okay? So to be honest, I really don't have any idea if he's worth it. From my own perception, like I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of talent. When I see a player, like but I don't see him. I haven't seen him. So okay, so I ask people like you, and you had a really good quote, and you gave it to me for this show today, and and it's in the pod in the blog. You can see it, and it's essentially it says you really loved to watch his development over the last couple of years at Harvard, and he's turned into a very complete player, and you think he's got a real professional down low wrist shot. He creates space for his line mates, and he scored key goals, which is a huge thing. You look for that. You look for that kind of stuff. Okay, so I talked to another person like you, okay, who I respect, who is who's older than you, but that doesn't mean anything, because older can be different.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, it might not be older than you. Come to think of it, you're pretty old.
Nice rip. I like it.
Anyway, somewhere in your range, actually. So anyway, because he knew Jimmy Vesey because. And I can't get into why, but he has really personal experience with VC and the team in Harvard and all that stuff. And I said, he wouldn't go on the record because there's all kinds of stuff with Harvard. But anyway, he wanted to just get this out there. He said, and this was his quote, and then I want you to respond to different parts of it. He wouldn't get 20 goals in the AHL. He was an older guy playing in one of the weaker college leagues. That's where he started. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, all right, so here's the first thought.
Okay.
In 2012-13, when he played for the World Juniors, he was the same age as everybody else playing for the World Juniors, and he had 5 points in 7 games. So so against his own age group, he's always fared well. So the fact that he said that, I don't put a lot of stock in. And the ECAC has gotten so good that I can't believe he would even come out and say that, considering Union just won a championship, and everything's been ramped up in that entire conference.
All right, interesting. Like I'm not going to rebuke you. Maybe he will if he watches the show. He'll send me a text or whatever, and he can rebuke you. But because I don't really know enough. But that's go ahead, Mike. Your thoughts?
And also, he played in the 2015 World Championships. I think it was with Eichel. Yeah. And he played, and this was against pretty good competition. Canada had Crosby and Giroux. I mean, there was not like it usually was, where it's weaker teams, and he played well. So I think that this argument is sort of weak, and sort of to me reflects a team that may have been spurned by VC. Because
no, it's not a team.
Okay, I'm just because I don't know who it is. And I don't want to know. I'm just saying
it's not a team. There's no personal thing where this is just his opinion. There really is no personal
opinion. He's allowed to have one.
There's no personal connection between him and VC at all. So then he's not involved in signing him. He didn't dupe him. He wasn't like another college or anything.
I think
I would have vetted that.
Okay. I think the argument that he is. And from what this person said is, it sounds like he's saying he's a borderline NHLer who would score 20 goals in the AHL. I think that's way off base. I'm not saying he's going to be a 30 to 35 goal scorer.
Right, neither am I.
Yeah, I think and I've said this consistently, I compare him favorably to a guy like Chris Kreider, and we've talked about that, how he's maybe not as fast as Kreider, probably a little better defensively, like Russ said. You're talking about if that comparison is accurate, you're talking about a 45 to 55 point forward and a guy who could play on a number 1 or a number 2 line and be the trigger for a playmaking center. That is an invaluable commodity in this league at this time.
I mean, here's the funny thing.
Go ahead.
Do we now only look at left wing as a position that scores? No. There's other things that happen at the position, and that's why I outlined those in the quote that I gave you, because he does those other things well. There's a lot more to being a left winger than just scoring goals. There is.
That's for sure. I agree with that completely. I am putting this in the blog.
And he's 6'3". I mean, it seems like nobody's talking about the fact that he's 6'3". He's over 200 pounds, and he's a strong guy. He's had 4 years to work out at an elite school. I mean, trust me, he was a world beater last year. Last year was when that argument that this scout is talking about holds true. When I watched him last year, nobody could hold him back on a college ice surface. He was, wasn't unstoppable, but he was doing everything. And I understood what I was seeing. I did.
Right. No, that makes sense. I'm with you there. So I'm going to sorry, I apologize for those people who didn't. This talk wasn't in the blog. Was a lot of people obviously were watching us on YouTube already, but it wasn't on the blog.
I embedded us. I embedded it in the blog.
So it's in the blog now. But anyway, so there you have it. But let me continue. Let me continue with my quote here. So from him.
Sure.
So, all right. He says there are many better and younger players out there already. He says look at Winnipeg and Chicago alone. On Winnipeg, you have Roslovic, Connor, Lemieux, DeLeo, and Petan. And that's not including Ehlers, Laine, and Dano, obviously. All better than VC. That's 8 forwards, all younger and better. All those guys could get 53 points or more as a 22 or 23-year-old in the ECAC.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm a big Jack Roslovic fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's fair to say he's better than Jimmy VC at the moment. I think this guy's ripping the ECAC to the point where I don't think he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the ECAC. I mean, I've been going to Princeton games for about 12 to 15 years, and I've watched them go from a lousy place to play to a team's now Princeton's always not great, I give you that, but to where there are so many good teams in that conference that I can't believe someone would still try and tear down the conference and say, yeah, it's not that good.
Okay.
Right? And let me just say this. Of that list, and I don't know enough about Roslovic to make a determination, but I can say this. Laine is the number 2 pick overall. Of course,
and he's not included. He said he was trying to go with others.
Of course, he's going to be better. I think Ehlers being a first-round pick and that has the top-end skill that he has, I think he's going to be better. But every other name that you mentioned on that list, I mean, no.
I mean, look, Nick Petan has more skill, but he plays a different position.
Right. And the thing is, and as Russ said before, he's a left winger. He's got size. He's got strength. But he also, for his size, has pretty darn good speed. And right now, trying to find the combination of a big player who is strong enough and who can keep up with the pace in the NHL, again, it's a commodity that is a rare thing. So I think that this person is not giving VC credit, and he's putting a lot of stock into the fact that he's playing against supposedly weaker competition. Well, that's an
older player. He's an older player.
Austin Matthews played in the Swiss League. Does that mean that he sucks?
Right. No, I know, and that's a great point. And then he goes on to Chicago, and this is the last thing. So he talks about the players on Chicago. He said you got Hinostroza. I'm sorry if I don't say his names right.
Wait. So he's saying Hinostroza is better than VC?
Yes.
Wow.
Did he watch the World Championships and think that Hinostroza was fantastic because there was nobody else on the team? Come on.
Hinostroza was a 4th liner on Team USA, a team that we panned as being a team that was mostly like a team building thing. The best players did not go and play for Team USA.
Schmaltz, he also says Moat and Hartman are players.
Okay, Tyler Mott has a chance to be better, and Schmaltz is probably better. But also Schmaltz is really at the high end of skill where, again, VC's more physical than he is. A lot more.
Okay, so are we going to say that VC is so in this list, it sounds like I'm just like, and I know you can say what you want to, and I know my source, you guys don't know your source. Every scout and every person at teams and stuff like that has leagues that they like and don't like. They've got their favorites. We talked about this before, the Leafs love to, and they had what's his name there, they love to pull out of the OHL. They really, this is completely, you see this kind of stuff all the time, right? So so that being said, this is a guy who interviews players, who talks to players who play with them, different things like that too. So here we go. So about this list, you think he's somewhere in the middle. You're basically saying that if of these, like, I've got 12 players, maybe 6 of them are better than him, 6 of them you don't think are better than him.
I think he's at the upper middle. So I'd say he's.
Yeah, me too.
So Roslovic better than him?
It's too early.
It's too early.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's very early. But that's part of his point. I mean, that's part of his point here. Because when we talk about a 24-year-old, right? He's 24.
23.
23, about to be 24, I think. Right. So talk about a player like this. Well, most people on this planet who are 23 are about to be 24. Just throwing that out there first as a statement. So he's 23. Okay, and
at some time in the next year, yes.
Right. A lot of these guys on this list are 19, 20, right? They're younger kids, right? So,
but with the exception of Line
Line and Ehlers, you're saying, and Ehlers probably.
No, what I was saying, I mean, because Ehlers was drafted in 2014, I believe, so he's
still younger, probably, but
yeah, younger. But what I'm saying is,
yeah,
most of these guys on this list will be spending at least a year, maybe 2 or 3, in either the NCAA, the AHL, or in junior. So, you're not going to find out what they are at 22 or 23 until years down the line.
Right.
But
so
here's
you're
the
looking
funny
at.
thing. So we hit on Roslovic, right? And I love what he did in international play. But he had 26 points, which is less than what VC had. Yes, you're going to say VC's older. That's fine. And he was a -5. Right. Now, again, even VC's team last year wasn't fantastic. I mean, he was clearly the best guy on the team that was rebuilding, really. I mean, they're not what they used to be. And so it's apples and oranges. I can't compare him. Nick Patan, is he going to play left wing in the NHL? I don't think so. I think they're going to use him at center if they're going to use him.
Right.
And again, he's a small, skilled player.
Right. Exactly.
So, but my point is in this is prospects are about a couple things, right? The prospects are about their where they are now and where they can go. So, when a guy's 23 or 24, you're starting, like VC is, you're starting to say this is as good as he's going to get. Basically, you're not saying that because he hasn't played in the NHL yet. Of course,
no, but a coach can help him a little bit.
Coach can help him, but his potential. You're not drafting on potential here as much. When a guy gets into his early mid-20s, you're not drafting on potential as much as you are drafting on what can he do for you now, because you're looking at a guy who's like Roslovic is all potential. Should he be better than VC when he's 23 years old? Maybe, right?
You don't know, because you don't know how he's going to mature. I mean,
right.
I've heard
but scouts would probably say,
well,
yes, right?
They don't know either.
I know they don't know.
I don't know if scouts are going to say yes. I really think that is a really tough comparison because, again, we'll see next year if Roslovic makes a jump and starts scoring 20 goals. VC 2 years ago had 33 goals. 33 goals in college is a boatload of goals.
And I don't know if it's been determined yet, because Roslovic is a Columbus draft pick, and I know that the London Knights traded for his rights. There was some talk that he was going to leave the NCAA and go to.
What my source was saying, he's a property of Winnipeg right now. So.
No, he is, and he plays for Miami University. Winnipeg. He could leave Miami University and play somewhere else.
You're right. Winnipeg. Sorry.
So the point is, I think that we can all agree that in VC you're getting something that can come in right now and play, as opposed to some of these other players we're talking about. So there's an advantage to that. Okay, he's an immediate impact player.
You want to know something funny? I'm going to say something funny to Mr. X. In VC's first year, which I would never call a great year, he had 11 goals. That's really not much different than what Roslovic did last year.
Right.
Jack Roslovic is from Columbus, but he's
okay, yeah. So yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just don't understand.
So we just don't know. We don't know where Roslovic is going to go. The point is potential versus potential fulfilled, and how much you have there. So when you have a potential versus potential fulfilled, has VC, and we won't know until he plays in the NHL if he's going to be like a Kreider, like we've talked about, or if he's going to be less than that, or if he's going to be more than that. We just don't know, right? But we have more of an idea with him than we do some of these people that I'm talking about on this list.
Well, more of an idea, yes, because he's older, but it doesn't mean that what he is right now, that he's not going to be better at 25 once he's had a year or two in the NHL. I mean, there's still room for experience and improvement. He's a very intelligent player. Right. With a 19-year-old player or 20-year-old player like a Roslovic or an Ehlers or an 18-year-old like Line, you don't know what's going to happen when they're exposed to North American hockey or exposed to the NHL or the AHL. You don't know. So there's a little more certitude with VC in terms of what he's going to be, and I think that certitude is something that a lot of NHL teams say, okay, we know he can step into our lineup and do certain things right away. We don't know if those guys same thing.
And putting Ehlers in that group is unfair. He's a world-class talent. Nobody has ever called Jimmy VC a world-class talent. Right. I mean, it's a whole different thing. VC's had this whole trip. Like, a funny thing is we did a lot of times we'll do a collectible show at the NHL draft. And in recent years, I haven't been able to do it because I've been on XM all the time. But before that, we used to do one. And we did one, and we had some guests that were lined up, and one guest just walked onto the show. The guest who walked onto the show was Jimmy VC. I only knew him by name.
Right.
I hadn't seen him play previously, and he impressed me with the interview he gave, so much so that I looked him up when I got home, and I made sure I started tracking this guy because I said, wow, here's an assertive kid who, is obviously big and skinny,
right.
and showed me something just in an interview. Now I've got to pay attention to him, and I did.
And I think that you're not alone in that feeling, because I think that I've heard when I've talked to people, a lot of people are very impressed by him. A lot of people say, okay, this is an impressive guy, and hockey players are all over the map when it comes to intelligence.
Yes.
Okay, I mean there are some, and intelligence is not necessarily correlated to how they're going to do in the NHL either. I mean, that's, to be honest, as well. I mean, there are some players that are dumb as doors that I've seen score 50 goals over 8 straight years. So I mean, there are, and that's an easy reference for people to pick out. But I just think that the whole point here is, that we can't necessarily. And yet, of course, as a scout or as a GM or as a person or looking at prospects, you are impressed by, and who wouldn't be impressed by somebody or want to give somebody like a benefit of the doubt who is intelligent like that. I'm not saying that plays into your mind, but it has to a little bit, right? I mean, if you like a player, and I know this is true with me, when I like a player, I definitely root for that player. But I'm not saying that's what you did, but I'm just saying that I think that when you're trying to correlate as to what the Jimmy Vesey hype is all about and what it means right now, I think that his personality and his intelligence play into it.
Yeah, but you see, if I did that, Al Montoya would be one of my highest-ranked prospects currently, and he's not.
Right.
So
right. I know that, but I'm just saying that.
I'm just telling you.
I think the one thing that I take from this whole situation that I really don't like is, and it's not just one fan base, it's a number of different fan bases around the league that look at VC in the situation and say, oh, this guy's, how dare this guy who's a third-round pick, he's not all that. He has no right to be able to be picky and so on. But yes, he does. It was in the CBA.
No, yes, I don't. I completely agree.
I mean, for all those Sabres fans, all those Bruin fans, all those Leaf fans, or whatever, who's saying he's not all that. You tell me that if you don't have the right to shop your wares on the marketplace, that you're not going to. You're a hypocrite if you don't think you're going to do that.
And if you don't think the teams would take a similar advantage if they had it, you're insane too, because they would.
So I mean, I hope
you can't begrudge a player for playing by the rules.
And I would ask also Mr. X, if he really wasn't this good, why would David Poile go to the lengths of making sure he would be on the playoff roster if he signed last year?
Right. And I will try to get these questions to Mr. X tomorrow and perhaps get answers. I would like to get him on here.
Nashville, the last time I looked, Nashville's pretty good at getting prospects and evaluating them.
Yeah, this guy who they only saving a spot on the #1 line for him. Oh, okay.
Well, it could. I'll play a little devil's advocate there. Okay, for a second. And you know what I think of the Poile and the Predators? They did have a lot of time invested into VC, okay? And they did draft him. They used the draft pick for him. They had, they really, and they not only drafted him. I mean, they sent a guy to talk to him basically once a week. They really completely, and they liked him. And they just, because they liked him. I mean, and that's because he's a good player.
If this was Rico Fata, would they have gone to these lengths?
No, probably not. And
can I just quibble with a comment that I saw from a friend of Hockey Buzz, Brian Burke, the team president of the Calgary Flames, who made a comment about college free agents that they don't add up to being a pimple on an elephant's butt. And first of all, this is Brian Burke, who signed guys like Tyler Bozak.
Strange thing for Burke to say.
Right, and he signed college free agents when he was in Toronto.
All the time. He's been one of the leading signers of France.
Oh, because they were they were out there, they were unrestricted. You could get them for nothing. He signed Tyler Bozak, who's been a pretty good pro, but situations like Jankowski, like Kevin Hayes.
I was going to say, what would Berkey say if they didn't sign Jankowski? Right, not a good talent.
But they're not. But see, the thing is, they're not prototypical college free agents. They were draft picks. They were first-round picks, third-round picks in the case of VC. These were players that if they were in the OHL, they would have been signed. But because they were in the NCAA and they played 4 years or they left early, they had an opportunity to exercise the boundaries of the CBA. So I just think it's a little. I mean, again, this is that mentality that VC is overstepping his bounds, and I think that's baloney. I think
there is still a mentality out there with a lot of scouts and with a lot of organizations that the Canadian Hockey League is so far ahead of the NCAA that there's a bias that exists. Even though Jonathan Taves played in the NCAA, even though guys like Joe Nieuwendyk, who played in the ECAC, who stinks, is in the Hall of Fame, Ken Dryden, somehow Ken Dryden made it to the Hall of Fame too, and other
Go
players.
Big Red.
I'm just saying. Who?
Go Big Red, I said. Sorry, it's on.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying. It's just. But my basic point is that you can't just lump that in there. But yet, I still see it happening. I do.
Yeah, no, and it does happen. And I can't speak for this guy. So, but all I can say is he's very well respected. You like him, and to the point where I can't even tell him who he is off the air because he knows you, and it's just a really good discussion to have. And I think that and it's just, this is one of those, and what I can kind of conclude in my blog, and I still kind of conclude today, this is why general managers are all losing their hair, right? Because honestly, this is the reality of the situation that we're in.
And this is a loophole that will most likely be closed when the new CBA comes in. More than likely, they'll adjust the number of years that a player in the NCAA can be. I mean, the thing is with the NCAA, you can't sign them to a contract because then it's a pro contract and it violates the NCAA. So, but there's going to have to be something where either the team holds his rights a year or two after, or they're going to have to adjust something. But I think this loophole will eventually be closed.
I wonder. I think so, but I wonder. I do wonder because I don't know. I mean, let's hope not, because it gives us some fun things to talk about in August.
That's true.
Now we know.
We've never had this kind of discussion over Justin Schultz, even though there was some discussion, not to this degree.
We did have this discussion over Justin Schultz.
No, but not this many days. It didn't.
Yeah, no, not this many days. Faber and Brunstrom, back when Mike and I were just doing the other.
Brunstrom was a big topic.
When Justin Schultz was a UFA, we analyzed every aspect of his friendship with Jake Gardner as
remember that? Yeah,
going to the Maple Leafs. So there you go.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, there is, and this, you'll get this, and you'll get, you get the Kevin Hayes of the world, and it's surprising this doesn't happen more often, I guess. But at the same time, I think you have to be a certain level to pull this off. If you're not a certain level in the NHL, because there is a backlash to it. Even these teams that are bidding on him aren't thrilled about it. Like they aren't thrilled about the way this is going. Like I've heard that more than a couple times. There is a hockey mentality to this. And I think some of that is what you're hearing, Mike, too. And the fans who are ripping him, that's one thing, because this is what he's allowed to do. But there is also a certain degree of hockey culture.
Well,
when you hold out, just like the Lindros faced this with Quebec. It's like there's something just when you don't go to the team that drafts you. Well, you do have a problem.
Well, I have to, and maybe that's part of what happened yesterday, because if the report came out late in the afternoon that the Detroit Red Wings had been told by VC's representatives that they were not in the mix, and the quote came out from, I think it was the Detroit assistant GM, that VC said he wanted to stay closer to home.
And yet he's still talking to Chicago.
And yet he's still talking to Chicago, which I think shoots that down, and probably that was the nice way of telling the Detroit Red Wings, we don't like the direction of where your franchise is going. But you can't come out and say, well, I think you're getting old. You don't have Mike Babcock anymore. I don't know the direction of your franchise. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't. Some of those things I believe, some of those things I don't believe. But at least his representatives came out and said, or maybe that was just the cover that the Red Wings said, that he didn't want to play in Detroit.
This is how I think that went down from my experience dealing with these things in the past. What I think, when I hear something like that said, I wouldn't think that VC's agent would just come out to him and say because he knows that he's talking to Chicago too, and if he does eventually sign to Chicago, that agent is mud. So I don't think he could say that. I think my impression of this kind of stuff when it happens, whenever I hear this, is that they just talk to Detroit, and Detroit, and through the many discussions that they had, the fact that VC really liked the Boston area kept coming up and all that stuff. But and that he that it would take a lot to get him to move out west. That he really wanted to be near home. It wasn't. I don't think you ever put like the line in the stand saying I'm not going to play there because I don't want to be. But I think that
I agree. I don't think he did
through
either.
The discussion, the assistant general manager left with the impression that he doesn't want to play away from home, and that's usually how these things go about. That's really probably what was said there.
And that may be the case or may not be the case. I mean, if you think about it, Chicago will only play in Boston once.
His agent is too smart for that, though. His agent's too smart to have said that to him and still be talking to Chicago, especially because Chicago and Detroit are such bitter rivals too. I mean, there's so much more here. I think that really feels. I would love to ask the assistant GM myself, but it really feels like that's an impression.
Well, that's the thing. Was was this an actual quote that was attributed to him, or is it just, hey, he said this, but not a quote? That's what I would ask.
Yeah, like, and we don't really know. I never really saw the source of the quote either. I just heard about it.
It was an article from Answer Khan, who's a reporter, and he quoted the Detroit AGM. And
what did Detroit GM say exactly?
I'll pull up the article.
And even then, you got to realize that this is. I mean, I don't think the Detroit GM would also use that as an excuse as to why Detroit's not in the bidding war either, because I don't think that really that really doesn't mean anything to them either. This is just Jimmy VC. We're not talking about Austin Matthews or somebody like that. We're talking about. So I think it really sounds like he talked to him and they got the impression that he wanted to play at home if all things were equal, and that except for maybe, but he might have even said on the phone call, Big J, we're talking to Chicago too, but he really likes Patrick Kane, or he's got a great relationship there, so there's another thing there, and you don't want to say that, So I think that. I just don't know, but I can tell you that you often have to read into these things a little bit deeper, and you often have to realize that most of the smart agents and GMs don't say anything as direct as he doesn't play. He doesn't want to play.
All right, let's hear the quote.
From Answer Khan's article yesterday. Of course, a picture just popped into the article that makes me have to move the screen. We did our best. Assistant General Manager Ryan Martin said, oh, God, why does this keep doing this? Sorry about that. We spoke to his agent in depth about the possibility, about the opportunity. He said he preferred to play closer to home.
All right, that's fine. I mean, and he's a good AGM. I know who he is. That's fine. I didn't take that as that big of a deal. I didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, in
trying to eliminate Chicago, people have used this as a way of eliminating.
Yeah, but you can't. That's the thing.
I think that every situation is different. He preferred playing closer to home than playing in Detroit. That's really how you have to take it like exactly what it is.
And see what and then this is parsing words and assuming a number of things. But the thing is, if Chicago is still in the mix, which purportedly they are, then it can't be that Detroit that the reason of being closer to home is a factor. It has to be something else because Chicago is further away than home for Jimmy VC. So that's
I mean, look, has it gotten to the ridiculous point now where somebody's gonna post a map and they're gonna put the mileage from here to there and there to here, and this is gonna be like a battle of MapQuest now or something? I mean, have we gotten to that point?
Plus, Detroit is in the Atlantic Division along with Boston, so they would play the Bruins 2 or 3 times a year in Boston, whereas Chicago is in the West. They at the most will play Boston once. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. No, I think that's true. All right, and speaking of what we talked about yesterday, and we were all curious as to what the big announcement was going to be from Ottawa.
I have one last thing to finish with on BC since this has become a thing again.
Yeah.
And that is. So on the Ranger front, it's now become like a battle of the celebrities, and I saw one of my favorites the last hour tried to lure him in, and Noah Syndergaard, who pitches for the Mets. He's a big guy. He looks like Thor. He actually just hit a home run yesterday for a pitcher, which is cool. But he tried to lure him in, right? And it's like, listen, I laugh at that kind of stuff, but if fans really think that is going to make the difference for the player coming to a city, they're mistaken.
Yeah. I mean. Toronto went full out, according to Lance.
They didn't go full out because I tweeted Justin Bieber did not make an effort.
Yes, but excuse me, in terms of the hockey department, no, they didn't send Drake there, Ross.
Right.
Yeah, but they didn't send Bieber, but they did send Brendan Shanahan, and Austin Matthews was reportedly there. So they did go above and beyond to talk to the VC camp about what it would mean to come to Toronto. So if he doesn't choose, you can't blame the Leafs. They went all out for him.
Well, if we're gonna go there, we got to go to this then. So if we're gonna go to this level, we got to go to this. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I got to show this then. So if you're gonna go conspiracy theory on everybody, the last thing that Jimmy VC tweeted was this. All right, so he says, so I think I should start making signs for Katie, Ledecky, who put on this sign. If you can see in the background, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
Pretty pleasy for Jimmy VC, and she's an Islanders fan there. They're friends. You know, they know each other very well. This is a, you know, for what it's, you know, so this, you know, does this put the Islanders into a good spot here?
Well, let's see. Katie Ledecky is a big name. Noah Syndergaard in baseball is a big name. I didn't even see the other celebrities. I mean, there's Margot Robbie's a Ranger fan. Did she tweet out? She might have. No, it makes no difference.
If Margot Robbie tweeted me, I'd become a Ranger fan.
All right, there you have it, folks. For those of you who want to get Mike off his Toronto Maple Leafs kick, you've got to find Margot and get him to tweet.
They'd be my second favorite team.
Oh man, now we've already backed off. But I'm telling you, you want to. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there who knows her. I bet I do know somebody who knows her really well.
Somebody probably does.
All right, so he says, you know, Jimmy Vesey obviously liked that this Katie Ledecky over there down in Rio with her gold medal around her neck makes a sign for him. That's pretty impressive. I mean, that's like, you know, she's got other things to do right now. So I wonder.
Or I wonder if Islanders PR sent her a message.
Right. Yeah. You know, who knows? But the Islanders PR, the Islanders definitely need to get her somehow involved.
It's just funny. It's just funny how like all these like internal relationships come up when it comes to VC and certain teams. You know, we know the Harvard coach with the Devils, or Kevin Hayes with the Rangers, or his dad and his brother with the Leafs, or, you know, like all these connections. Jack Eichel with the Sabres. There's all this trying to plot, you know, make these little lines connection between him. And the thing is, in the end, I mean, is there any connection between him and the Chicago Blackhawks? And if he chooses the Blackhawks, everybody's going to be banging their head against the wall because there was no connection? I mean,
no. I mean, at the end of the day.
Next subject, because this is going to be hotly.
Yeah. We're kind of stuck in this one right now. All right. So Nathan Gerby has written in your favorite magazine about his signing with the Rangers, Mike. Russ, in the Players Tribune. I don't know.
Was it a smaller version of the Players Tribune?
Stop it! You call him small next time you see him and see what he does.
I think it's a pretty good article.
Kick my butt.
See, I'm the one who likes the Player Tribune on his staff. I mean, I don't know what you think, Mike, about it, but I like it. I do. Russ does not like it at all.
I have nothing against it. It was originated by Derek Jeter.
Well, then now I do have something against it, but I didn't know that. But I still like it. I throw it out there.
I like Nate Gerby. I'll go. That's it.
All right. So the whole idea of we didn't talk about this. The Nighthawks. Okay, like the concept of the Nighthawks, the Las Vegas Nighthawks, which is
okay.
It's just maybe is leading the way right now. Is very controversial and really funny because.
What is a Nighthawk?
Well, it is. I'm assuming, isn't that another Army reference? Isn't there an Army thing called a Nighthawk, like a kind of a plane or something like that? I thought. I'm not sure, but I think that's.
No, that's a Black Hawk.
That's a Black Hawk helicopter.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I thought there was a Nighthawk thing too. Maybe I'm wrong. But this is you know, like I said in my article that I wrote, you know, we have two Sox in baseball. Can we have two Hawks in hockey? You know, the Blackhawks, Nighthawks, Red Sox, Blacks.
This is a Nighthawk.
That's a Nighthawk, okay.
It's a bird.
It's a bird. We know it's a bird. Thanks, Russ. I knew it was a bird.
Well, how many birds are hanging around Las Vegas?
A lot. You know, there are obviously
in the mountains, but not on the strip.
The Blackhawks are not happy about this concept, okay, and as is to be expected, especially of all the teams to have to deal with this. I think it's hilarious that the Blackhawks do, because this is a team that really is so conscious of their brand and just over the top about it. I think that there's nothing funnier than thinking that, you know, you just can't say the Hawks anymore.
Right.
If you know the Nighthawks are in the league. That's a big deal. They were an original 16.
Have they branded anything that just says the Hawks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You can guys sweatshirts that say Hawks on it. You can all over the place. Okay. Yeah.
But how come? But again, they're not the only team with Hawks in the name. There are other teams in the lexicon of the world that have.
Oh yeah, no. There's tons of different kinds of Hawks out there.
Atlanta Hawks of the NBA. By the way, right. Nighthawks. This could be named after the 1981 movie starring Sylvester Stallone, Lindsay Wagner, and Rutger Hauer.
Oh, that's right. Ouch.
But if the London Knights had a problem, I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks surely have a problem with this. I mean,
I just think this is a bad name. I
don't think it's a bad name, Las Vegas Nighthawks. I think it's kind of
You know
cool.
what this is like? This is like if you join Twitter tomorrow trying to find a handle. Like they're all taken.
Right.
Yeah, right. The Flamingos is another name that's flying out there too.
Flamingos. Oh, please.
Okay.
Please.
There's someone who gave, and then actually someone has come up with someone sent me the logo idea for the
That would be
Flamingos, which is
fantastic.
right here.
Not
This
the
would be
same
the
way. Is this the same guy? Okay, no. All right.
different
No,
guy. This is the Flamingos logo. This is from Reddit Hockey.
What they should do is the Florida team should get rid of Panthers and take Flamingos, or the people in my hometown of Cheektowaga who have pink flamingos on their lawn. Other than that, it's just no.
I want to see what those pink flamingos look like when they're covered by 28 inches of snow. I mean, putting them in like
a blanket and they're shivering.
I know, that's incredible. I mean,
Have you never been
cow.
to the Hilton in Las Vegas and see the pink flamingos? I have.
Oh yeah. No, I think the flamingo. I don't know. I like the flamingos idea. It's pretty good. Okay, now we're trying to talk about advertising and uniforms, and it's coming out. That obviously this is going to happen in the World Cup of hockey, and they're introducing it, and they're introducing it in a pretty mellow way.
Is it? I don't think that's that mellow.
All right, well, here's a picture. First of all, it's being the sponsor of the this sponsor. Okay, and I hate to say this because I know somebody who works for this company, SAP. Okay.
Yeah.
AKA SAP. So SAP is sponsoring this, and you can see they're on the sleeves here, right? I think that's not terrible. I mean, up here on the on the shoulder, kind of.
I mean, clearly you can't ask the player's opinion there.
But here's what I want to ask you all: SAP, they advertise on every arena. They advertise. Right. You see them. They this post game show by SAP. They're on the boards of every arena. They're in every NHL.com website you go to. You'll see SAP. Someone tell me what SAP does. Anyone, tell me what
Advanced
SAP.
Analytics.
They're involved in that, but that's not really what they do.
See, at first I thought it was secondary audio. It was like the SAP. I thought it was that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like a standardized test in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I don't know. I just knew they were involved in the analytics.
They're involved in analytics, but what part of it? They're not actually tracking players and stuff like that. They're not doing any of that. So what they write, and I met somebody from SAP recently at the Maccabi games where I was with my daughter, and she's like actually works with the NHL all the time, and I trade information, and she's going to use me on some of her. They do a lot of bloggers / they bring bloggers in sometimes to get their opinions on different things.
Okay.
I wanted to know, what do you do? I was like, I don't mean to be a jerk, but I see you advertise. I know SAP exists, and all I know is my wife who told me that they worked with SAP at her company, and they hated them because they do front-end systems, basically is what they do. So they do, so if you're working at a retail store, which I know you have in the past, as I have, you'll get a new system, like a new point of sale thing. That's what SAP does. So SAP does programming of kind of like operating systems. So the NHL statistics are run with an SAP operating system, but that's what they do for the NHL. But they're not really, and they do, so therefore they've ended up in tracking and stuff like that, and they do that kind of stuff, but they're really not the ones who are actually physically, SAP is not getting paid to like have guys track how many times people touch the puck and stuff like that. They're writing the programs, okay? They're writing the programs for that, and they work with a ton of businesses. So business people know what SAP is. But it's such a strange, and the owner of SAP is a San Jose guy, really good guy, but what's funny is I don't think many people in the NHL know what SAP does.
Probably not.
For all the times, I mean, as they're the biggest advertiser with the least amount of recognizability, I think, of anybody in the NHL. Like, can you think of anybody else bigger than that? Like,
I mean,
BlackBerry,
Bridgestone.
They're tires, right? I mean, you got that right off the bat.
Everybody knows that.
Right, or Reebok, that makes sense. You get what that is.
But here's the bigger question. Here's the question I pose out there. We all have jersey collections, right?
Yep.
I always laugh at the NASCAR fan, not for liking NASCAR, but for wearing basically a shirt or a jersey that has 100 advertisements and this little notoriety about the driver they actually like. This is only one thing, but the idea is jerseys cost around $250.
Right.
If this jersey were to cost $150 and had the SAP, I might be inclined to buy it.
Right.
But if it's costing me the same and I'm advertising somebody else, me personally, I would not buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of, and I don't know what it probably was, either like European
I'll be
jerseys.
right back. I'm going to listen, but I got something to show you guys.
Okay. Either European jerseys for soccer or other sports, where when you buy the jersey, if you want it without the advertisements, it's more.
Right, and I would be willing to pay that.
You know, and I mean, and honestly, you could take you could buy the jersey and then just cut off the envelope.
Yes, you could.
So I mean, that's if you wanted to cheat.
But you're risking it. Now you're risking, messing up your jersey that you just spent $275 on with tax, right?
That's true. That's true. While we're waiting for Act, there was just a little piece of news here.
Here's the difference, though. See, like giveaway things with hats, and they have an advertisement. I get it, and I'll wear it because I did get it for free. I got it when I walked in. Right. Somebody handed it to me on the street. This is different. Now I'm going to pay my hard-earned money, and I'm basically paying money to the league, and the advertiser is benefiting, even though they're already benefiting.
Yeah, but even now, you get a Leafs hat or a Yankees hat. It has the number 47 on it for the manufacturer, or a New Era cap that's got
right.
I mean, everything has a little advertisement on it. So
of a manufacturer, that's different.
No, and I think that I mean, I love the idea of like it's cheaper. It's cheaper if you have the advertising on it.
Yeah.
And more, I think that's great because people will love that and they'll be into it. And that is like the Amazon Kindle way of doing things, right? Where you get like if you get a Kindle, you can get a Kindle with advertising on it for about $50 less than a regular Kindle, and that advertising isn't obtrusive and it's perfectly fine. And you're paying money for that. So I do have an issue with one other thing about the Finnish uniforms when I saw them on this though. So here's my thought on this. So I'm gonna bring this up again. So look at Team Finland here. We have Team Finland right there. Obviously the third. And that blue, that is not Finnish blue. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, Team Finland needs to be like a lighter color blue. Like their flag is not that color.
But even the Canadian red in that picture looks darker than it normally is too.
Yeah, like I've got a Finnish jersey here, right? So
do we think it's the actual jersey color, or could it be the photograph that was taken?
It could be the way the photo is taken because it's a darker.
It could be, right? Because look at Mike.
I hope so, because I mean, this is like this. I know this might not pick up on here, like the difference in this.
Yeah.
There is a different. Like this is sent to me by a little Toronto guy. But anyway, so this is like So here you have this is
That's closer to that's closer to a. I mean the other one was closer to a royal blue, and that's more close.
Yeah, like because the Finnish flag. Okay, just bringing that up for a second. Like the Finnish flag itself, right, is like this. So. And it's a cool thing because I think so. I don't know if this will come up or not, but here's the Finnish flag.
I saw a version of the Finnish uniform that had a red crest on it, which I had never seen before. And so I
I know. I don't know what that is either. But
a third jersey or something that.
All right, so the Finnish flag looks like this, right? So you can see this is more. You can see definitely the difference here, right, in the blue.
Yeah, but then you see related products and you see the other color.
Right, of course. But this is the actual color of the Finnish flag. So. So like the picture might be wrong, but I really don't want. But my issue with this is the fact that I just don't want the jerseys to be like it's the same. It looks like in this picture it's the same color as the almost the same color as the Europe jersey.
Am I taking it for granted that the manufacturers and that they would have consulted with the Finnish Ice Hockey Federation to say that the color of the uniform was the right color? I mean. Am I going on a limb here? I mean, I would think.
We don't know.
No, I think that's a perfectly fair thing to say. So I think that they would have, and I'm gonna guess that the Finnish color is gonna be the right color, but maybe it isn't. I don't know. We don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out when we get there. And it's like the Flyers orange, which looks different on TV than it looks in person. Yep. It's like it's a subtle difference, but I mean they went so far over the top. When we were kids, the Flyers orange looked red on TV.
Yes.
But now they went so far the other direction to make it look.
Also, when you were a kid, it was a black and white picture you were watching.
That's true too. So we're going to do number 11 today, and it's absolutely incredibly proper that we do number 11 today because Daniel Alfredsson's number is going to be retired, and this is what the press conference was yesterday, and he is number 11.
I'll tell you right now, my pick will not be Daniel Alfredsson.
No, but I think that it's pretty funny that we were sitting there. At the time we were trying to figure out this, we were trying to figure out whether we should do number 11 yesterday, and it's just funny when you watch back on that show, we look like idiots because here we are, number 11, we should maybe do number 11. Oh, we don't know what's happening in the Ottawa Conference.
Oh yeah, and the thing, well, I have to say,
people tweeted that it was going to be an outdoor game, so they were 100% wrong.
Oh, they were. The Sens did a good job. Also, considering the fact that the Sens had the media in on this too, which is really.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, and it was released the day before, it's going to be a significant announcement. And honestly, maybe this is just me being the outside of the Ottawa perspective. I know that Alfredsson's one of the greatest players of that franchise. I don't consider his number being retired a significant.
That is wrong. This is very significant. This is the first number being retired.
Mike is just evil.
That is evil, Mike. That is just evil because this is very significant. This is like, I mean, you're a person who said building those statues, those homages to the undead outside of the building there, are completely. I mean this is way more significant than that. This is retiring of the first number retired by a franchise. This is completely of your captain, of the guy who's got your all-time leading points, all-time leading goals, all-time leading assists in both the playoffs and the regular season, has a huge part of your family, and for some reason or another, you'd screwed up and you had to play 1 year in Detroit. But besides that...
But that's who they're playing when they do this, and if I was a fan, I would not want them playing Detroit because I would not be happy about how that all went down.
Well, I think that's a little bit of a burning of the... I think that's a little bit of an offering of the peace branch, though, to a degree.
I guess.
I agree with what you're saying because... but it wasn't Alfredsson's fault that it went down that way, so that's the thing. I mean, I don't blame Detroit or Alfredsson on this.
It was his fault because he didn't have to take the extra money that Detroit was offering him.
Exactly. Well, and in all rights, what we
don't know everything that went down in that.
In all rights, what they should do is they should have had this ceremony when Ottawa played Toronto, and in the middle of the ceremony, Darcy Tucker should have jumped on the ice and slammed him into the wall. That would have been perfect.
No, this is completely. Do not listen to Mike out there, folks. This is a very significant.
Yeah, Mike is really just on another.
He is just playing He's just trying to rile you up. Don't bite. Don't bite. It's the internet. Don't bite. It's No, I mean this is incredibly significant. This is the number of
I wouldn't say incredibly significant.
No, for that franchise, it is absolutely. When they said it's a significant hockey, it is.
Just leave it at significant. Incredibly significant would be something else, like a new building.
All right. Well, let's get into number 11s, okay? Because while we're here, are you guys ready for number 11s?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You guys are really good at this. Like, I'm coming up with stuff on the fly without me preparing you at all. So I'll say that's good because we were talking about a bunch of things today, and the VC thing was coming up, so I didn't even get to mention the fact that we would definitely be doing this. And since I know Russ is going to take Bobby Carpenter, I am going to...
I didn't know I was going to take Anson Carter. I'm a big Anson Carter fan.
There you go. Oh, boy, yep. And since I know Ron Ellis is going to be the pick for Mike...
Ron Ellis is number 6.
He was number 11 for 1 year with the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1965.
Number 6.
He was number 11 for 1 year.
I wouldn't take Vic Hatfield. I'm a big Vic Hatfield fan, too.
And I'm not going to pick Walt McKechnie or Gary...
I'm not going to pick Len Hackborn, although I knew he was... Or Ray Allison, both of whom I really liked a lot in their time.
Nielsen, who was a Rangers number 11. He was.
Hockey, guys.
Are we going to do the current ones as well?
Yes.
Okay, can you send me the list? Because
I will send you a list of those. Yes, I will. So
But I have my all-time.
All-time. Okay, so let's start all-time, and I'll send this list of Mike to the current ones as well.
I'll save the obvious choice to Russ.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll take my obvious choice. Growing up in Buffalo, first pick in the 1970 draft, Gilbert Perreault, Hall of Fame player. I think in a way, vastly underrated. I think because he played in Buffalo, but when he did play internationally, especially in the '81 Canada Cup, he played with Gretzky and Lafleur. He really flourished. But great player, showstopper, and always known for his end-to-end rushes. Center of the French Connection, got to one Stanley Cup final in '75. I think a really great and underrated player, so I'll say Gilbert Perreault.
I once met him and got his autograph, and while I was getting it, I mentioned to him how he tortured, my favorite team, the Rangers, and he seemed to get glee from that. But I like the guy; he's a classy guy.
Yes. Oh yeah,
and he has a rink named after him in the Q.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you can't really beat that. Russ? I'm gonna throw you a layup here. Is that okay? Go ahead.
Yeah. I will tell you this: when you go on Twitter, and once in a while on my page, you'll see some sort of reference to Ulf Nielsen, Rangers number 11, and we always get a kick out of that when Ulf puts that up there. But no, Mark Messier. I mean, if I picked any other number, I should be shot. I mean, it meant.
That's really rough, but yeah, okay, I'll give it to you.
It meant a lot. I mean, I remember when he got traded to the team. It was a big day, and it wasn't that far after that they won the Stanley Cup, and he had a lot to do with it. And this is before he started marketing himself to every product on earth. So I'll go with number 11.
Yeah, goodness gracious, can you go wrong with that one?
Yeah, I think that advertising campaign for Just for Men would not work for him.
Mike, I was trying to send a thing to you at the time that you said your pick exactly. Who was it again? I'm sorry.
Perro. Gilbert Perro.
That's right. That's what I thought it was. I was just making sure because I was like,
Yeah.
I knew you said Buffalo, and I'm like, yeah, and then I figured it was just. I didn't think you were going for somebody else.
It was not going to be Yvonne Lambert, no.
Right. All right, so that brings it to me. I'm not going to take Mike Gallagher. Or Marcel Gotch. Let's see. Let me go through this.
Well, no,
This is one of my favorite things to go through this list and find these obscure players like this.
I love Marcel Gotch, though.
You're
Al
taking
McGinnis, who played for the Calgary Flames as number 11 for a game. Not many people know that.
Why don't you
He
take
did.
the guy we just talked about?
Take who?
The guy we just talked about from Ottawa.
Alfredson. No, I don't think so.
But we'll put Alfie in the list, to be fair.
Yes.
Alfie will be a part of the list for sure, but I'm going to go a different direction a little bit here because he's one of my favorite players growing up, and unless I find somebody else really quickly, which I don't think I will, and I haven't, so I went through the whole list. And one of the more underrated players because of where he played and because of the team he played on and because the team was struggling, but just one of the class guys and really good players of his era, Mike Gartner.
Yeah.
All right, just to get a really just completely. I mean, obviously known for his speed because of the Olympics when he set a record for speed, but there are some other good ones too.
Although it should be noted, Mike Gardner had another number with the Rangers, not 11.
No, that's true. That's true.
No, but it's fine. He wore it everywhere else.
No, I always like to see the guys who wore the number 11 the most amount of times. I mean, Kevin Dineen's a good one too, and that's one we could throw in there, for our buddy Dan.
No, we can't. No, Daniel Alfredson gets thrown in there, but Mike Gardner was just an amazing player. He was a heck of a player.
Yeah.
He still could skate and still had a really good ability going, even at the end of his career with the Leafs.
He was 36 or 37 when he won the fastest skater competition at the All-Star game.
Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine how fast he would have been if they tracked him when he was younger?
Oh, yeah.
Because he was still fast.
He scored 35 goals as a 37-year-old with the Leafs, which is, and I actually feel a little bit sorry for him because he gets traded for Glenn Anderson in 1994 right at the deadline, and that was a chance for him to win the Stanley Cup, but
It's in my book, 100 Ranger Greats. I would just say it wasn't one of his favorite days.
Yeah.
There is another Ranger great, though, right? That was number 11 before Messier.
Well, I said Ulf Nielsen.
No, before that.
Vic Hatfield.
Vic Hatfield. I said that earlier, too.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Yeah,
now,
I'm a big Vic Hatfield fan, too. I am.
Here's a new game I'm going to play with this because I really like this because of the way this website works is really cool that I'm looking at this on. Who wore the number 11 with the most teams in the NHL?
That's a good one.
I found one who wore it with 7 teams.
Wow.
7 teams. That is pretty crazy. Yeah?
Walt McKechnie.
Not Walt McKechnie.
Yeah, I see Bob McMillan had 5. It's staring me in the face, but I don't know.
Walt McKechnie, let's see how many he wore it with. Walt McKechnie only wore it with 3 teams.
Just 3.
He played for 9. He played for 8 or 9.
I guess he wasn't wearing number 11 and all those things. So I'm going to throw out the teams. You're going to guess who this is, okay?
Okay.
Because it's a modern era.
Okay.
So all right, I'm not gonna put them in any order because I don't want you to guess who we played with the most. All right, so I'm gonna start with Toronto.
Of course, yeah.
Phoenix, San Jose, Colorado, Quebec, Minnesota, and Calgary. Number 11 on those 7 teams: Toronto, Phoenix, Minnesota, San Jose, Quebec, Colorado, and Calgary.
It's not Gary Lehman.
That's a great question.
It's a really good question.
Is it a forward or a defenseman?
Played from 1992 to 2010.
A forward or a defenseman?
A forward. This is a really good one.
I know my original thought was like Ulf Dahlin, but he was 10.
Yeah. No, this is a really good one.
He played for some of those teams.
I will tell you this as well. He's a friend of the show's, and he is currently coaching a friend of a son of mine, a son of a friend of mine. That's what they're.
Who was he drafted by?
Quebec.
Wait, so you're going to say it's Danny Briere?
Nope.
No, but he was
Quebec.
8, right?
Quebec.
Drafted by Quebec.
Right, drafted by Quebec.
In 1992. Or 1991, maybe, because his first year in the NHL was 92.
Yeah.
I think he played right away, though. I think he did.
Owen Nolan.
There you go.
Owen Nolan, okay.
Owen Nolan.
He was a heck of a player.
I know, from 92 to 95 with Quebec, then 96 with Colorado, before getting shipped to San Jose for 96 through 03, where he really made his roots, and that's where he still lives and coaches with my friend's son out there in San Jose, and has a really good bar in San Jose, too, that he owns. Then he went on from in 03 and 04. He got traded to Toronto. Remember, right? He played for the Maple Leafs in 03, 04.
Alan McCauley, Brad Boyes, and a #1 pick.
Right, and then was out of the league for 05 and 06, but then returned in 07 with the Phoenix Coyotes. Went on to Calgary in 08, and then ended his career with the Wild in 9 and 10. That's a lot. That's 7 teams. Wow.
Yeah.
And he was a #1 pick, a #1 overall.
He was first overall.
He was a #1 overall pick. That's why I thought he played right away. But yeah, he was #1 pick in that great draft. I mean, the draft that I still think was one of the best of all time, as far as top picks goes. I mean, isn't that the Yager draft? That's like.
Yeah, that's a good draft.
Nolan, Nedved, Ricci, Yager, that whole thing. That was a crazy, crazy beginning. Anyway, so that was a really there you go. So now let's go to current number 11s before we get out today. And so this is another one that we have always fun with. Do you want to start with this one, Russ?
Yeah. Boy, I'm torn. I'm going to go with somebody who's still got a lot of career left, and I'm going to go with Brendan Gallagher.
Yeah, good one.
I like him. I've always liked the spiciness. I think he's a great Canadian. I think he is just one of those guys with a good personality. He's just a fun player to watch.
Yeah, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you want to see him hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and for that type of player, that's a compliment.
Oh, sure.
For me, I'd say Anze Kopitar.
Yeah.
#1 center, big money, 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah, he's the easy pick, and I love Kopitar too, but he's the ezy pick.
Well, Mike likes to go with the easy pick.
Let's just say I'm easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really interesting ones on here because there
are some really
Backlund or Brian Boyle or Matt Calvert, of course. Andrew Desjardins.
I'm a big fan of Zach Hyman, but not yet.
Steven Gianta, right? Hansel, Jimmy Hayes. We talked about him a lot. Cody Hodgson has been a disaster. Hyman, like you said, Lurg, McKenzie, Curtis McKenzie, that is in Dallas. Brandon Peary in Anaheim, I like, but not that much. Kevin Porter in Pittsburgh. Shane Prince on the Island. Jordan Stahl, of course, is a good one. But I think at the end of the day, for me, it's Zach Parise in Minnesota, who I still think has gotten a little bit.
Only worn that number for 3 years, but we'll give it to you.
Well, we're talking about the current player wearing number 11, so
I know
that's the concept of it. He's wearing number 11 right now, and
I thought of Zach, but once he went to Minnesota, he was dead to me. So it's fine. I liked him. No, I liked him a lot as a Devil. I did. I thought he was really good for that organization. Not that he's not good for the Wild, but I just, for whatever reason, I really thought he would be a Devil for life. And when he went to Minnesota, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he got killed by a lot of people for that, and because he really did.
He's wearing the same jersey as his dad, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and he's I think last year his injuries were killing him. His injuries killed him last year. But he had he was off to an unbelievable start. Remember, he just had the first.
He's tailed off a bit since leaving New Jersey, though. He has.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see what kind of a factor he is at the World Cup. I think that this is he's got to be a big factor for them, for Team USA. He's a big player for them. The way this team's constructed, Zach Parise has got to be a top line center for this team.
Yes.
And that's that's a lot. That's asking a lot of him. But I think that he was that big in Vancouver for sure. He wasn't necessarily that as big in Sochi, but we'll see what happens here. He has a chance to redeem himself. He is a good. The reason I think he could be very good in the World Cup of Hockey is because he does have a history of starting years very well.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a good starter. Like last year, he had didn't he have like a hat trick in his first game or something like that? It was something crazy. He had like really great first couple games. It's just
he's a great guy to interview. I just think his speed is starting to leave him.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. He was a -3 last year on the Wild, which is that's not a good number for him because he considered himself pretty much a two-way player.
Yeah.
Quick note on the Colorado coaching search. I mean, names like Todd Richards popped up as soon as Patrick Roy resigned, but according to John Shannon from Sportsnet, two names that have come up have been Lane Lambert, former NHLer, and Bob Bugner, who was an assistant in San Jose last year, but was a head coach with, I think it was Windsor in the OHL.
It was Windsor. Bugner's a really good coach. I've watched him in action. I could see that being a pretty good pick. I do think they have to go with a fairly unproven guy now because I think they have mainly young players there. So I think it will be a good
young coach.
Yeah, and I know that Travis Green's name it was mentioned. Like he was in the mix for a number of positions this summer.
He gets mentioned, but he just doesn't seem to make the next cut for some reason.
Yeah.
And I know that, and this would be a bridge too far for me. Sheldon Keefe, the Toronto Marlies coach, who's only been in the AHL for 1 year, but had a successful stint in the OHL before that. His name got a mention, but I think it's going to take a couple more years of experience in the American hockey.
I've heard great things about him though. A lot of people compare him to Cooper, and saying that in time, he could definitely be the. I mean, and then maybe that's if I was Colorado, that's something I would look at. Like I would look at something like that. Maybe not him, but somebody who's really progressive. Along those lines, Dallas Aikens. I thought of Dallas Aikens in that situation. Like to me, he got screwed so badly in Edmonton. I think he deserves another shot.
I think Dallas Aikens is eventually going to get another shot.
I would hate to see a Dallas Aikens practice in the Mile High City. Guys would be dead.
Yeah, that's true, but we'll see. Very funny stuff. Good show today, everyone. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can support Hockey Buzz, the Hockey Buzz cast at least, by going to patreon.com/hockey and subscribing. We've had some more people subscribe yesterday. Really appreciate that. For like $5 a month, you get it really helps us a ton. We'll also do a special show where you can be a part of it on Fridays or another day. We usually do it like about once a week. So yeah, it's really good. So make sure you go there to patreon.com/hockey. That's patreon.com/hockey.
And remember, if you give $1,000, I will stop for 1 month. I will stop with the sound effects.
And I'll send you our bell. For $1,000, you get our bell. All right. Remember that the buzz is just hockey. Thanks for watching. Especially you, Jimmy. See ya.
Especially you.